The wind pressed hard against the thin walls of the small rental house, as if trying to warn that something inside was breaking far faster than the storm outside. On that cold Christmas night, a man named Rowan Hale, a retired Navy SEAL with a past full of scars no one could see, paused on the snowy sidewalk when he noticed a dim, flickering light through a half-torn curtain. He had been walking home from a volunteer shift at the local community center, hoping the quiet streets would help him silence the ghosts that followed him everywhere. But what he saw inside that house stopped him completely. A woman sat on the floor beside a tiny artificial tree whose lights blinked weakly, and two children huddled close to her for warmth. No presents, no food, no joy, just a silence so heavy it felt like grief itself lived there. Rowan's heart clenched, the way it had often done in deserts far from home, when he faced things he couldn't fix. But this was something he couldn't walk away from. If you believe kindness deserves second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Light of Kindness. Your support helps keep these emotional stories alive. Rowan approached slowly, hearing the crunch of snow under his boots as he stepped closer to the dim window. The woman didn't notice him. Her face was buried in her hands, shoulders trembling, while the children, one girl about 8, one boy around 5, watched her helplessly as if her sadness was the only thing they had left. Rowan hesitated before knocking on the door, suddenly aware that his broad frame and military posture might scare them at this hour. Still, something in him whispered that he was meant to be here, so he knocked. Inside, Mara Whitlock, the widow whose world had been falling apart for months, flinched at the sound. Her heart raced. She wasn't expecting anyone, especially not tonight. Christmas used to be her husband's favorite day. He would decorate from morning till night, play music too loudly, bake cookies that always tasted burnt, and still the kids would laugh because love made everything sweet. But since his passing 8 months earlier in a road accident, every day felt like a new battle she couldn't win. Money was gone. The home they once owned was gone. Their Christmas traditions gone. And now a stranger was at the door. After breakfast, Rowan asked Mara to come with him to one more place. She hesitated but agreed. He drove them to the community center where he volunteered. There, people were gathering for a Christmas daytime charity event. Warm meals, donated clothes, toys for kids, and free services for families in need. Mara stared in shock as volunteers greeted her children with wrapped presents and warm jackets. She kept shaking her head, overwhelmed, but Rowan rested a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You don't have to do everything alone," he said. The day blossomed with unexpected blessings. Aria received a small art set she clutched tightly, calling it her best present ever. Callan got a toy truck he refused to let go of, and Mara was quietly told by the center director that Rowan had already spoken to them about her situation. They had job openings, rental assistance, and support programs for widows. Mara covered her mouth, tears spilling silently. For the first time in months, she felt hope instead of fear. By afternoon, Rowan drove them back to his house, where Mara picked up the children's things to return home. But as they stood in the doorway, her eyes drifted toward their cold, dark rental house. The thought of going back there felt crushing. Rowan noticed her hesitation. He asked gently if she'd like to stay until the heater was repaired. She nodded slowly, grateful beyond words. Over the next days, Rowan helped them fix the house heater, stocked their fridge, and even helped Mara apply for the job at the community center. But something else was happening too, something Mara hadn't expected. Her children adored Rowan. They followed him around like he was some sort of gentle giant, asking endless questions, showing him drawings, asking for stories. And Rowan, who once believed he wasn't good at anything outside of military missions, found himself smiling in ways he hadn't in years. But the most unexpected change was in Mara. She began to feel safe near Rowan, to trust him, to see the quiet kindness behind the tough exterior, and Rowan in turn found himself drawn to her strength, resilience, and the way she cared so fiercely for her children despite everything life had taken from her. A week after Christmas, Mara stood on Rowan's porch, holding a plate of freshly baked muffins she had made as a thank you. Snow drifted lightly around them as she said softly that she didn't know how to describe what he had done for them. Rowan replied with the same gentle firmness he'd used that first night, "You just needed someone to stand beside you. I was glad I was there." Mara looked up at him, eyes warm and shining, and something unspoken passed between them, a recognition that their lives had changed because of that single winter night. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Light of Kindness. Your engagement helps these emotional stories reach more people around the world. Special request: tell us in the comments what moment in the story moved you the most. And so, what began as a cold Christmas night filled with loneliness became the beginning of a new chapter. One built not on sorrow but on hope, kindness, and the unexpected warmth of a stranger who chose to care.